Good morning, everybody. Norman and I are taking the service this morning, and we welcome everybody here, whether they're here in person or online. And the service this morning is service 4 on page 122. And if you're sitting at home or anywhere, you can sing Ma Tovu with me. Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu, Ma Tovu Ahalecha Yaakov, Mishkanatecha Yisrael, Mishkanatecha Yisrael, Vani Barak Hastacha Avovetecha Eshtahave El Hod Kodshecha Vayiratecha El Hod Kodshecha Vayiratecha. Eternal God, we come before you surrounded by members of our community. With them we share our happiness, and it becomes greater. Our troubles, and they become smaller. May we never be too mean to give, nor too proud to receive. For in giving and receiving we discover you, and begin to understand the meaning of life. Let us not separate ourselves from the true strength of our community, the experience and wisdom of old people, the hopes of the young, and the examples of care and courage which sustain us. Give us an open mind and a generous heart to welcome those who need us and to admit your presence in our daily life. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the strength that comes to us through our community. We should revere God in all that we do, privately as well as publicly, acknowledge the truth and speak it in our hearts. Supreme, sovereign of all worlds, we lay our supplications before you, relying not on our merit, but on your abundant mercy. For what are we? What is our life? And what our piety? What our goodness? And what our strength? What can we say in your presence, eternal God? Are not the mightiest of ours as nothing before you, the famous as though they had never lived, the learned as if they had no knowledge, the wise as if without understanding? For most of what we do is futile, and our life on earth is but a span. Our superiority over other animals amounts to little, for all is vanity. Nevertheless, we are your people, children of your covenant, and called to your service. Therefore, it is right that we should thank and praise you, to proclaim your holiness, and daily say before you, Ashreinu, Ashreinu, Matov, Matov, Matov Hakenu, Ashreinu, Ashreinu, Matov, Matov, Matov Hakenu, Umanayim, Manayim, Manayim Goralenu, Umanayim, Manayim, Manayim Goralenu, Mayafa, 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 Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim. Praise be the one at whose command the world came to be. We praise you, our God, sovereign of the universe, worshipped by your people, lauded and glorified by those who love and serve you. With songs of praise we extol you and proclaim your sovereignty, sole source of the life of all worlds. We praise you, sovereign God, to whom all praise is due. At dawn and dusk I seek you, reach out and look to you. With soul athirst I yearn for you. I am a beggar at your door. The galaxies cannot contain you, yet you dwell in my inmost being. I hold your glory in my heart. My love for you exceeds my speech. So I will praise your name, Eternal One, as long as your breath of life remains within me. Praise the Eternal One forever. Amen and amen. Praise be the eternal God, the God of Israel, who does wonderful things. Let God's glorious name be praised forever, and let the whole earth be filled with God's glory. Amen and amen. Nishmat kol hai, tavaret et shimcha, Adonai Eloheinu, Varuach kol bashar, tafaret ushamam, zikra Malkeinu tamid min ha'olam va'ed ha'olam. God of all ages, of all generations, of all creatures to whom our praise ascends, you guide the world with constant love, your children with tender care. To you alone we give thanks. Yet though our mouths should overflow with song as the sea, our tongues with exultation as the roaring waves, and our lips with praise as heaven's wide expanse, and though our eyes shine as the sun and moon, our arms spread forth like the wings of eagles, and our feet speed swiftly as hinds, still we could not fully thank you, eternal God, for your infinite kindness to our ancestors and to us. Therefore, the limbs you have formed in us, the spirit you have breathed into us, and the tongue you have set in our mouths, all shall unite to thank and praise, extol you and exalt you, the sovereign God. Every mouth shall thank you, every tongue bear witness to you, every knee shall bend to you, every body bow down to you, every heart shall revere you, and every fibre of our being shall sing your praise. For so it is written, all my bones shall say, who is like you, Eternal One? Therefore we extol you and proclaim your glory and praise your holy name. As it is said, praise the Eternal One, O my soul. Let all that is within me praise God's holy name. Right. Am I carrying on? I think I'm carrying on. The Eternal One reigns in grandeur robed and girded with strength. The world stands firm, it shall not be moved. Your throne is established from of old, for you are everlasting. The oceans roar, eternal God. The thundering oceans roar. The thundering oceans rage, yet greater than the roaring waves, mightier than the breaking seas. You stand supreme on high. Sure are the proofs of your power, O God, and holiness adorns your house forever.
From the bottom of page 128. Ishtabah Shimcha La'ed, Malkeinu Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol V'HaKadosh, B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz. Ki L'cha Na'eh Adonai Eloheinu V'Elahei Avotenu. Shir Ushuvah, Hallel V'Zimra, V'Rochot V'Hoda'ot, Me'atah V'Ad Olam. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'oher B'Shrei Zimra. We praise you, O God. May you accept our song of praise.
So we're on page 135. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMavorach. Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Leolam Va'ed. Praise the one to whom our praise is due. We praise the Eternal One to whom our praise is due forever. And we turn over to page 136. Okay. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, sovereign of the universe, maker of light and creator of darkness, author of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it. And in your goodness you renew creation continually, day by day. How manifold are your works, O God! With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, creator of light.
Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life. So be gracious to us and teach us. Incline our hearts to hear your words, to know and understand, to learn and teach, and with love to uphold the truths of your Torah. Enlighten us with your teaching. Make us faithful to your commandments and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. For in love you summon us to serve you and proclaim your unity. We praise you, O God. In love you have called your people Israel to serve you. And on page 137, the Shema.
If you all join me with the Shema, whether you're sitting or standing, it doesn't matter. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh, asher anochi mesaveka hayom, al levavecha. V'shinamtam levanecha, v'dibarta bom. V'shivtecha b'veitecha, v'vrevtecha v'aderech, v'shaftecha u'b'kmeha. V'shaltem le'ot al yadecha. V'hayu l'totafot bein einecha. V'katavtam al mezuzot beitecha, v'visharecha. Laman tizkaru, v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kadoshim Elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hoseti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, leot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly, you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then, with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song. Mi chamo habalim Adonai, mi chamo habano b'kodesh, no tehilot osef eleh. A new song the redeemed sang to your name at the shore of the sea. With one accord they gave thanks and proclaimed your sovereignty. Adonai Yimlal Leolam Va'ed. Zu Yisrael Kuma Ba'ezrat Yisrael Go'aleinu Adonai Savaot Shamo Kadosh Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael Ga'al Yisrael. And we're at the top of page 140 for the Amida. You can sit or stand, it doesn't matter. Adonai Safatan Tiftar Ufia Gita Hilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Emotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol v'HaGibor v'HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomer Hasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zohei HaSte'avot v'Imohot, V'Mevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shemo B'Hava. Melech Hosea Mashiach Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mahayei Meitim Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv Haru Ria, Masrid HaGeshem, Masriah HaShemesh U'Marid
Atah.
Mahakel Hayim B'Chesed, Mahayei Meitim B'Rahamim Rabim, Samen Noflim V'Rofei Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umakayim Emanoto, L'Shanei Afar, Michalo Haba'al Gavurot, Umida Melech, Melech Meimid, Umahaye, Umasbia Yeshua.
V'ne'eman atah l'hayot meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mahayei HaMeitim. We sanctify your name on earth, as in the prophet's vision, the hosts of heaven sing your praise above, for so it is written.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Savaot, Malok HaHaretz Kavodo.
Kavodo Malay Olam.
Baruch Kavod Adonai Mimkomo.
From your concealment, majestic one, reveal yourself and rule over us, for you are our hope. Yimloch Adonai li'olam, Elohai Yitzion,
Gadol v'ador, Hallelujah. L'ador v'ador, l'ador v'ador, l'ador v'ador, nagid God lecha, ulanetza natzachim, ulanetza natzachim, kadush atacha nahakdish, v'shiftacha Eloheinu, mipino lo yamush le'olam va'ed, ki el melech gadol, ki el melech gadol, v'kadosh atah. L'ador v'ador, l'ador v'ador, l'ador v'ador, nagid God lecha, ulanetza natzachim, ulanetza natzachim, kadush atacha nahakdish.
Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God. Please be seated. Bottom of page 142. You inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service, when upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life. We learn anew that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness and consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful and good.
Yismahu ba malchutha, Yismahu ba malchutha, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg, Amad kache shuvi'i, Amad kache shuvi'i, Kulam yisma'u v'yitangu v'tuvecha, v'hashvi'i, v'hashvi'i, rasita bo, v'kidashto, hemdat yamim, hemdat yamim, oto karata, zehelamase bereshit. Our God and God of our ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Eternal One, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Ratzei Adonai Eloheinu, B'almacha Yisrael, Utahilatam B'ahava Takabel, Utahila Ratzon, Tamid Avodat Yisrael, Amaha Yisrael Amecha, Baruch atah Adonai, She'otacha levadacha b'yirah, na'avod, na'avod, na'avod.
Modim anachnu la, she'ata hu Adonai Eloheinu v'Elahei Avotenu li'olam va'ed. So hayenu magein yishenu, atahu ledovado. Node lachana sapet tehilotecha, al hayenu hamsurim bayadecha, al nishmotenu hakudot loch, va'al nisecha sheboho yomimonu, va'al niflotecha v'tovatecha, sheboho eid, erev v'voker v'soharayim. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shimcha v'lecha no'er l'chodot. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due.
Sim shalom tova uvracha, sim shalom tova uvracha, tova uvracha, shalom tova uvracha, shalom tova uvracha, shalom tova uvracha. Now we have the sign of that. Grant peace, welfare and blessing, grace, love and mercy to us and to all Israel, your people. As a loving parent, bless us with the light of your presence. For by the light of your presence, eternal God, you have revealed to us the law of life, a love of kindness and righteousness, blessing and mercy, life and peace. For it is good in your sight that your people Israel and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. And now we have a few moments for silent prayer. Yehu ratzon imrefi, Yehu ratzon imrefi, v'hegyon labi lefanecha, Adonai suri v'gali. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Oh, say shalom bimramav. Say shalom aleinu, we are called Yisrael, we are called Bnei Adam. Amen.
Lovely, thank you. Now please turn to page 481 for this week's Torah service. Ein kamelcha v'Elohim Adonai, v'ein kamalsecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'mimshaltecha b'chod v'ado. Adonai melech, Adonai melech, Adonai imlam, li'olam va'ed. Adonai os li'amayitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu Adonai iti, u'ramah shemo yachdav. L'cho Adonai, Hadula v'Hadbura, v'Hatiferes, v'Hanesach v'Hakom, ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz. L'cho Adonai, Amalecha, Amiz Naseh, L'chol La'aretz. Please be seated. No, let's see if I can. Yeah. This morning's Torah portion is taken from the book of Numbers. It's chapter 4, verses 21 to 33. But Jill's going to read the first 3 sentences in Hebrew. I'm going to read the next 3 sentences in Hebrew. And then I'll read the whole portion in English, so you'll get real grips of it. So, Don, you go first.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamavorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahabanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. V'yadaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, Naso et rosh b'nei Gershon, gam heim levet avotam, lamishpachatam, maben shalashim shana, v'mala a'ed ben hamashim, shana tifkod otam, kol haba litzvo, sava la vad avodam ba'ochel moed.
Zot avodat mishpachot ha-gershuni la'achovod ulmatzah. V'nasu et yerat ha-mishkon v'et ochel moed. Michsehu u'machseh hatahash asher alav milmala v'et masaf peta ohel moed. Zot kolei ha'aser v'et masecha peta she'er ha'asher asher al hamishkon v'al hamizbeah saviv v'et mitrechem v'et kol kolei avotom v'et kol asher ya'aser lochem va'avodu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayeh olam netapetechenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Take a census of the Gershonites, also by their ancestral house and by their clans. Record them from the age of 30 years up to the age of 50, all who are subject to service in the performance of tasks for the tent of meeting. These are the duties of the Gershonite clans, as to labour and porterage. They shall carry the cloths of the tabernacle, the tent of meeting with its covering, the covering of dolphin skin that is on top of it, and the screen for the entrance of the tent of meeting, the hangings of the enclosure, the screen at the entrance of the gate of the enclosure that surrounds the tabernacle, the cords thereof, and the altar, and all their service equipment, and all their accessories, and they shall perform the service. All the duties of the Gershonites, all their porterage, and all their service shall be performed on orders from Aaron and his sons. You shall make them responsible for attending to all their porterage. Those are the duties of the Gershonite clans of the tent of meeting. They shall attend to them under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. As for the Merarites, you shall record them by the clans of their ancestral house. You shall record them from the age of 30 years up to the age of 50, all who are subject to service in the performance of the duties of the tent of meeting. These are their porterage tasks in connection with the various duties for the tent of meeting: the planks, the bars, the posts, and the sockets of the tabernacle, the posts around the enclosure and their sockets, pegs and cords, all these furnishings and their service. You shall list them by name, the objects that are their porterage tasks. Those are the duties of the Merarite clans pertaining to their various duties in the tent of meeting, under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. That's the English of it. Then I think we're going to invite Joyce up. Now I'd like to invite Joyce up to read the Haftorah.
We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe. You inspired faithful prophets and took pleasure in the words they spoke in truth. We praise you, O God, for the gift of Torah, your servant Moses, your people Israel, and the prophets of truth and righteousness. And the Haftarah reading today is from the book of Judges. Judges chapter 13. And there was a certain man of Zoar, of the tribe of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and had no children. And the angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said to her, Behold, you are barren and have no children, but you shall conceive and bear a son. Therefore beware and drink no wine or strong drink, and eat nothing unclean. For lo, you shall conceive and bear a son. No razor shall come upon his head, for the boy shall be a Nazarite to God from birth, and he shall begin to deliver Israel from the hand of the Philistines. Then the woman came and told her husband, A man of God came to me, and his countenance was like the countenance of the angel of God, very terrible. I did not ask him whence he was, and he did not tell me his name. But he said to me, Behold, you shall conceive and bear a son. So then drink no wine or strong drink, and eat nothing unclean. For the boy shall be a Nazarite to God from birth to the day of his death. Then Manoah entreated the Lord and said, O Lord, I pray thee, let the man of God whom thou didst send come again to us and teach us what we are to do with the boy that will be born. And God listened to the voice of Manoah, and the angel of God came again to the woman as she sat in the field. But Manoah, her husband, was not with her. And the woman ran in haste and told her husband, Behold, the man who came to me the other day has appeared to me. And Manoah arose and went after his wife and came to the man and said to him, Are you the man who spoke to this woman? And he said, I am. And Manoah said, Now when your words come true, what is to be the boy's manner of life, and what is he to do? And the angel of the Lord said to Manoah, Of all that I said to the woman, let her beware. She may not eat of anything that comes from the vine, nor let her drink wine or strong drink, or eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe. And Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, Pray let us detain you and prepare a kid for you. And the angel of the Lord said to Manoah, If you detain me, I will not eat of your food. But if you make ready a burnt offering, then offer it to the Lord. For Manoah did not know he was an angel of the Lord. And Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, What is your name, so that when your words come true, we may honor you? And the angel of the Lord said to him, Why do you ask my name, seeing it is wonderful? So Manoah took the kid with the cereal offering and offered it upon the rock to the Lord, to him who works wonders. And when the flame went upwards towards heaven from the altar, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar, while Manoah and his wife looked on, and they fell on their faces to the ground. The angel of the Lord appeared no more to Manoah and his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was the angel of the Lord. And Manoah said to his wife, We shall surely die, for we have seen God. But his wife said to him, If the Lord had meant to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and a cereal offering at our hands, or shown us all these things, or now announced to us such things as these. And the woman bore a son, and gave his name Samson. And the boy grew, and the Lord blessed him. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe. You have been our source of strength and righteousness throughout the ages, the faithful God whose word is deed, whose every word is true and just.
Thank you, Joyce, for that Haftarah reading. Some of you may know that Joyce is actually a founder member of this synagogue, and she told me earlier on today that for 27 years she was in charge of finding readers for the Haftarah. But Joyce is a beautiful reader. Thank you. And now please turn to page 484.
Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our sovereign lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family, for those who govern our country and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity.
Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation, its leaders and its members, and all who enter this synagogue to meet, to study and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts among us and heal those in anxiety or pain. May we all find here community and friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregations of the House of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rule soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and to do your will.
Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbours, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem.
Please turn to page 489. 489. Behold, a good doctrine has been given you. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life that those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Ashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Hadesh Yameinu Kakedem Hadesh Yameinu Please be seated. No, can't even. trying to think what's better, with or without glasses. It's fine without, with very bright light. Not quite so good with it, but never mind. I'm a list person. Please let me explain. Many of us fall into two categories when it comes to matters of administration. Some muddle along in the hope that they remember issues which require their attention. Others prepare a list by carefully writing down what they deem to be relevant. For example, a shopping list is vital for someone like me. However, I have not always been a list person. I am indebted to my lovely late mother-in-law, Marjorie Simons, who some older members may remember as she belonged to KLS for many years before her death. The family was on holiday, and it transpired that I had forgotten to pack several items and had to hurriedly go to the local shops to replace. On our return from holiday, I related this matter to my mother-in-law. Marjorie recommended that in the future it might be a good idea if I made out a holiday list and simply ticked off the items as they were packed into the suitcases. This procedure started me becoming a list person, and now I find it an enormous help in everyday matters. In this week's Torah portion, Naso, which means take a census, we read about how under the control of Aaron's son Ithamar, the Israelites who fell under the clans of Gershonites and Merarites had to be counted, at least the ones aged between 30 and 50. Both these clans had big responsibilities, which centred on the tent of meeting, or in our language, the sanctuary of the shul. The Merarites had the responsibility for the heavier duties, lifting the ark, using the sturdy poles to do this, moving the altar table, and making certain the whole area adhered to health and safety, as we now call it. The Gershonites were allocated lighter duties. The covers and mantles, the candlesticks, the various cloths and the screen for the entrance of the tent of meeting. Presumably, lists of duties had to be made and recorded. In itself, this is not the most inspiring of Torah stories, and yet it is not that far removed from what we do at KLS. Let us go back a few years to our formation, when we used the premises of the Friends Meeting House in central Kingston, where Primark is situated now. We had our own portable ark, which was lovingly made by Norman Fletcher Jones, who incidentally made this ark as well. Until we had the use of storage facilities at the Friends, Norman would place the ark in the boot of his car and transport it to and fro for services. Therefore, in my view, Norman would have been considered to be a modern-day Merarite. A few years ago, before taking a Friday night service, I wrote out a list of things Jill and I had to do before the service started. Surprisingly, it seemed endless. Tasks included unlocking the building, switching on the heating or opening the windows, getting the candles out, preparing the kiddush, and that's even before welcoming the congregation. So I expect doing these duties would fall under the auspices of the clan of Gershonites, although I hasten to add, in biblical times this would not have been permitted, as far as I'm concerned, as I'm over the age of 50, albeit not by very much. Ha ha. The theme which is allocated to this week's portion is called peace. How relevant with all the turmoil which is going on in Israel and Gaza at the present time. I once read that Nelson Mandela stated that babies are born containing love, which is automatically there for their mothers. But he added sadly that they have to be taught to hate. Is this taught to hate, which we witness in the modern world in areas of wars, racial conflict and strife, and sadly in Israel and Gaza? Is it like a repeat prescription? We go a few years in calm and peace, then it erupts again, and the area returns to conflict? If the tears shed by both Israelis and Palestinians over so many years and conflicts could be amalgamated together, would the Sea of Galilee flood its banks? I said to Jill this week, whilst preparing for this service, that our prayer book, Siddur Lev Hadash, has some marvellous writings. I particularly like the prayers for the royal family, government and the state of Israel, which we read at the conclusion of the Torah service. But this morning, I would like to ask Jill to read a paragraph taken from this week's theme, which is peace. It's on page 293 and was written with such wisdom, thought and understanding by the late Rabbi John Rayner. Please follow from the book or simply listen if you wish. Shabbat shalom to you all. Jill.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Norman. That was very, very good. It is not enough to pray for peace. We have to work for it, to challenge those who foster conflict and refute their propaganda, to ascertain and make known the truth, both when it confirms and when it runs counter to conventional views, to denounce injustice not only when it is committed against us, but also when it is committed against others, to defend human rights, not only our own but also theirs, to insist that peace requires sacrifice of pride, of wealth, of territory, to practice and promote the way of moderation, compromise and reconciliation, and to build bridges of respect and understanding, trust and friendship across the chasms that divide humanity.
Thank you. And can you please turn to the Elenu on page 520? Aleinu l'shabei adam hakol, l'teikadu l'yosef bereshit, asher som helkeinu l'yad shemo, v'gor aleinu l'hamlich malhuto, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtahavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlochim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shehu notei shamayim v'yosed haaretz, u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim imahal, u'shinatu zo, b'gavei maramim. Hu Eloheinu einod, emet malkeinu efasulato, Kakatu b'torato, v'yadata hayom v'hashavota elavavecho, ki Adonai hu Elohim, v'shamayim mima'ah, v'yal ha'ores mitahat Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might, when false gods will vanish from our hearts and idolatry cease forever. Help us to perfect the world by bringing it under your unchallenged rule, when all will invoke your name, relinquish evil, and turn to you alone. May all who dwell on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you let them humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honour. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. For ultimate sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory, as it is written, the Eternal One shall reign forever. V'ne'emar v'hoya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shamo echad. Please turn to page 523, top of the page. It is hard to feel serene when our world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone. Yet in the emptiness their passing leaves behind, we are not alone, for we have the companionship of the living, and even our loved ones who have died live on in our hearts. For what they were is part of what we have become. We honour them best when we live as they would wish, responsibly and happily, even in the shadow of our loss, and so draw closer to the source of life, in whom every life finds meaning, purpose and hope. And tonight, this morning, we are thinking of Tony Spevek, a founder member who died a few weeks ago. And also all the people who have died in the recent conflict in the Middle East and conflicts around the world.
Raphael Dimitrael Brandon Halidi
Okay.
is my first one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Michael. And also relatives of our members. Dinah Grossman, mother of Anne Siegel. Gracilia Zimmerman, aunt of Nora Zimmerman. Katie Wolfe, mother of Mark Wolfe. Walter Tyndall, father of Beryl Smith. And Bella Berman, mother of Richard Berman. As we say together the Kaddish on page 524. Yit Gadal V'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah V'yamar Divra Kirutei V'yamlich Malchutei V'hayachon V'yamechon V'v'hal V'yidachol Beit Yisrael Ba'agalah Rizman Kariv Imru Amen Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mavorach L'olam Olamei Omayah Yit Barach Yishtabach Yit Ba'al V'yitraman V'yitnasei V'tadav V'talev V'talav Shemei D'Kodashah Barechu Kol Brachata V'shirata Tush B'chata Nehemata Dameram V'yamar V'yimru Amen Yehei Shalom Rabbah Min Shamayim V'hayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru Amen Oseh Shalom B'mramav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'al Kol B'nei Adam V'yimru Amen. Please be seated. We're going to sing the Down the Long, but before that I'd like to place on record one or two thanks. Firstly for Craig, who really, without him, I don't know how we would cope with all this. He's absolutely marvellous. He's always quietly in the background, but he's always there. So Craig, thank you very much indeed. It's very nice. Don't have to go red. Joyce for reading the Haftorah. The other members who have come along today to support us. My wife, who I also can't do without. And contribution. And thank you, Mike, and I wish you long life, Michael.
Yes.
And shortly we'll be joining together for Kiddush in the garden. But before that, down along on page 525.
Right, shall I read it?
Yes, you read it.
Adon Olam, Hashem Olam, B'terem Kol Yashin Ivra, Li'et Naso, B'chefsa Kol, Azai Melech, Shemo Nikra, Azai Melech, Shemo Nikra, B'yaharei, Kilot hakol, levado, yimlok nara, v'hu haya, v'hu haveh, v'hu yiyeh, v'tifara, v'hu yiyeh, v'tifara, v'hu echad, v'yesheni, laham shilo, laham hapira, V'li reishit, v'li taklit, v'lo ha'oz, v'ha'misra, v'lo ha'oz, v'ha'misra, v'hu eli, v'ha'iguli, v'su hefli, v'yesus v'sara, v'hu nisi, u'manosli, manot kazi, v'yam ekra, Manot kosi, b'yom ekra, b'yado, avkid ruhi, b'yei tishon, b'ya'ira, b'yimruhi, gaviyati, adonoi li, v'lo ira, adonoi li, v'lo ira. And the final benediction is on page 529, number 3. Adonai oz li amon yitain, Adonai oz li'amon yitain. Adonai oz li'amon yitain. Adonai yavaret et amo b'shalom.
Eternal God, grant strength to your people. Eternal God, bless your people with peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
everybody.
Shalom, and to everybody who's watching it on Facebook and YouTube and
social media
and
generally.
social media gen. Thank you all for
Thank you.
coming. Well done, Ron. Thank you.